Welcome to the Conservation Is podcast, a Conservation Chat UK production. This is the place where we start the conversation about all things conservation and share them with our listeners. You can join in and interact with us using the hashtag #ConservationIs and the hashtag #ConservationChatUK. Let's start the conversation.
Hello and welcome to another episode of our Conservation Is podcast. Now, we asked you guys on Instagram to pick your favourite story you want to hear about in terms of where we've travelled, and you guys decided that you'd like to hear about Laura undertaking a scuba diving course over in Thailand. So let me just introduce Laura quickly.
Hi guys.
And Laura, so we've, or the people on Instagram have gone for scuba diving. So can you tell me what made you decide to undertake a scuba diving course?
I didn't want to.
All right.
Well, I've always been in love with the ocean, but actually I was quite terrified of it for some time. Like, I was scared of water and like murky water and stuff. I'd never really swim anywhere but swimming pools. But I was out in Thailand, so this was like quite at the beginning of my journey, and my ex-partner at the time who I was travelling with said he already had a scuba diving qualification and he wanted someone to go scuba diving with. So I said to him, like, let's pay for it and then I have to do it because I won't want to waste that money. So we literally were in Bangkok and we paid for a week at a resort, a local island called Koh Tao. So yeah, we paid for it. I think it was about £300 for an open water paddy diving course, and that was it. We had to go then, so we caught a bus and a catamaran and went there. So I actually didn't go in wanting to do it, but I can honestly say now that it's one of the best things I have ever done.
And were any of the things you were scared about, did they come true, or was it okay when you did it?
It was like a veil had been lifted. It's like the first time that I actually got in the water, like in the ocean, because not the entirety of the course isn't in the ocean, like some of it's in the swimming pool. But once you actually do your first dive and you get under the water and you can breathe and it feels like you're flying with the fishes, and I feel like it's basically, I have heard tales of people panicking underwater in diving equipment, and I know that you tried, didn't you, but you didn't feel comfortable. But when I did it, I felt this real sense of freedom, like, oh my God, I can breathe underwater, I can float. And I found it really calming, the fact that you have to control your breath. So yeah, generally it was just a really great thing.
So where in Thailand did you do your course?
So I went to an island called Koh Tao, and I know this place had quite a lot of bad press the past few years because there've been a couple of tourist murders there. But I can assure you when I was there, it was really lovely. So from Bangkok, you take an 8-hour bus ride through the night, and then you grab a 2-hour catamaran, and then we turned up on kind of the harbour at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So it was a pretty early start, and I did not sleep a wink in that entire journey. And I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't a pleasant journey at all. And we booked our resort at Crystal Dive Resort, which on this island there are so many dive places, like it's hard to choose, like, but we just paid for what we paid for, and we turned up at this place, and we had like a little chalet to stay in while I was doing my course, all part of the package and stuff, although we didn't have any hot water. And it was really, really basic, but it was right by the beach, and luckily for us we didn't have to travel any further. A lot of the other people that got off the catamaran had to go to the other side of the island, for example, to get to their dive resort. So we were straight off the catamaran and we could walk to our hostel.
When you were doing your training, how long did it take you to actually get your qualification, and what sort of dive qualification did you get?
So luckily for all of us, when I travel, I always keep a diary. And I've got my diary from 2013 right here, and all of my travel antics throughout Asia. So I've written down everything that I did each day. So on the first day, we started at 1:30 in the afternoon. And this afternoon entailed watching 3 cheesy dive videos, and I can't explain how cheesy they were. They felt like really 80s dive watch.
Yeah, I remember mine, and they were like the old VHS.
Yeah, like so cheesy, like cringe-worthy. It was quite hard to watch, but you have to watch a load of dive videos about safety. There's even a bit about women diving with their periods, which I thought was interesting. It's like, okay. And then you've got to do some like quizzes and answer some questions. So that was like the first afternoon and the introduction to it. They don't just throw you straight into the equipment and stuff. But you get to meet the people that you're diving with, and I think there were 6 of us, maybe 7 of us in total. If I can find it, I'll pop a picture up on the screen of my little dive crew that I was learning with. And they're all really lovely. I'm still in contact with a lot of them today. And then the second day, we start at 8 a.m. and we watch some more cheesy videos, do some more quizzes with questions, and then we actually go to the dive gear section of the resort, and we have to make sure we've got the right gear that fits our bodies and things, learn how to put it all together, take it all apart, etc., etc. So to be an actual skilled and professional diver, you've got to know how to deal with your equipment, otherwise you're a bit buggered if something goes wrong. And then we moved into the swimming pool. So I remember this being long and really, really tedious, because the assembling and deassembling of the scuba gear didn't take that long. So we're all, suited and booted, and then you get in the pool, and like, yeah, I was in Thailand and the weather was glorious, but if you're sat in a pool that has no movement in it whatsoever, just a tank of water, I think I was in that water for a good 6 hours doing skills. It got really cold. But basically skills are things like you've got to learn how to take your mask off underwater and put it back on again, then be able to clear the water from it. You've got to learn to be able to equalise your ears and the pressure in your ears when you go deeper. You've got to learn to do like some safety movements, like they call one a Caesar, where you put one arm in front and you swim from one end of the pool to the other. You've got to buddy up and share your oxygen with your buddy and be able to share each other's ventilators. So yeah, there's all that kind of stuff. So I've actually written in my diary in brackets, this day was pretty hard work. So it was pretty full on. But then the third day, we started at 9 o'clock and we had to do a theory exam. Now I'm pretty sure this involved some maths, and it made me panic because I'm not very good with maths and numbers. There's lots of like working out depths and how long you need to take to come up from a certain depth to avoid the bends, all that kind of thing. And then we did things like that you have to show your dive master that you can swim for a certain amount of length.
Yeah, we had to do I think it's 200 meters we had to do.
Yeah,
we did it in a tiny pool, so we were just going round about a million times.
No, we were lucky we had the ocean, so we just did our laps all together, and you got to show them that you can float. And then at 12 p.m. we did our first dive, and I'm not gonna lie, I cried before this first dive, because all up until this it was all very theoretical, and I've been in a swimming pool 1,000 times, that wasn't scary. And being underwater with the diving gear was really fun and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, we're going into the wild. I'm going underwater. And I'm not going to lie, sharks crossed my mind. But something that really calmed me, and I don't know if this sounds bad or not, but my friend Jordan, who I was diving with, he freaked out more than me. He was in a pile on the floor. Like, he was so scared. So I took it upon myself to like be the stronger person and stop worrying about me and try and make sure he was okay before we jumped in, because you don't want to be in a panic when you're under the water.
Did you find that the guides were supportive?
Oh my God, I had the best dive master in the world. His name was Carsten, and he was German, and he was just the most fun, easy to get along with, hilarious, just great dive master. There's been a lot of scuba divers I've come across in the past, like out in Thailand, that can be a little bit cocky and a bit, I'm better than you, a bit arrogant. But Carsten was like the complete opposite end. He was really humble and just a really good laugh. And he made us all feel really comfortable. And then he had an understudy who was learning to be a dive teacher alongside him, so we had her as well. We did a 12-meter dive the first time. And it was like we could have walked out to it, but we did jump off the boat, but we could have walked out from the beach to this dive position. And, there wasn't really anything down there, but it's just getting used to being out in the sea and diving, open water diving. and I didn't really see much, but the water was clear and it was just really nice and easy. And then we did a second dive, which I think was a bit deeper, and I've put in my book that this was a lot better, so I'm guessing that I saw some cool stuff on that. And then we move on to the fourth day, so the fourth and final day. So you start really early on your final day. I don't know what it's like in other places, but this particular, I mean, a lot of dives do start really early. We started at 6 and I did my third dive and it was at 18 meters. And I remember this one really clearly because we had to go down a creepy rope. So you use the rope as a guide and it takes you all the way down to the bottom. And I actually had to we all knelt in a circle at the bottom of the water at 18 meters deep and had to do our skills. So we had to take off our mask underwater in the ocean. And this was really, really scary for me. But I did it. I got it done. And I think because of the circumstances you're in, you just get it done. And that was a really nice dive. And then my final dive of the entire course was so good because they took us to a really nice reef. I think it was an atoll because it was just like a mound out on its own. And there were so many cool species. And yeah, I think all of my nerves and worry by this point had gone and I was just in complete wonder. And I remember my dive buddy on this particular day was getting really irritated with me because you've got to hold hands the whole time you're under the water because you're there for each other if anything goes wrong. And I just kept tapping her, like, look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. And she's like, stop it.
What sort of species did you see there?
I didn't see anything like majorly big, but I think I saw a turtle like in the distance. But I saw loads of cool like other things. And I've got a list here. So I saw loads of different colourful parrotfish. There were loads of Christmas tree worms where we were. So there are these really beautiful bright coloured worms. Long-faced emperor fish, sergeant major fish, titan triggerfish, squirrelfish, butterflyfish, moonfish, types of cleaner fish, spiky sea urchins, nudibranch, scorpionfish, moray eel, clownfish, bannerfish, tube urchins, batfish, free-spotted angelfish, clams, just loads and loads of stuff.
When you started getting settled and seeing all the animals, did you forget about any fears you had?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose every now and then it might cross my mind that a shark would come, but it really felt like all of my fears kind of disappeared once I was down there because I was just too excited by everything I was seeing.
And even with sharks, I mean, a lot of people dive with them and they're perfectly safe, aren't they, and stuff?
Yeah, it's all irrational. I mean, I saw Jaws when I was way too young to watch a film like that and it freaked me out. So even though I rationally, I love sharks and I've worked on, shark conservation projects and stuff, and I've got absolutely nothing against sharks. I want to protect sharks. I think everyone should want to protect sharks, but because I feel like Jaws actually kind of traumatized me a little bit, so that's always going to be in the back of my head, and you can't necessarily always rationalize that.
No.
Because it's an irrational fear, so I just do the best I can.
What were the worst and the best parts of doing the course?
The worst parts were skills, hands down. I don't like it. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot stand it when water goes up my nose. I really rough, what's the word? I'm repulsed by it. It freaks me out. So if I have to take my mask off underwater and I know the water's going to go up my nose and it's going to go in my eyes and I feel out of control a little bit. But as long as you stay calm and just get it done, you'll be okay.
Because I feel like with these courses, obviously they are courses, so they are quite intense with health and safety and so on. Where I feel like a lot of people just go into them thinking they're going to be swimming with turtles and sharks and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. If you're going to do a diving course, please go with PADI. They're certified. I've got a couple of stories. Should I go through them now or should I go through them in a bit? Because they're other dive stories that I've done.
So are these in other places?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I organised to go diving in Turkey in 2016. I went to Turkey. And I was like, I haven't been in the water since 2013. I need to go scuba diving. So we paid for a dive. And, God, we were on this boat. And basically, there was only 3 of us out of about 10 who were qualified scuba divers. But everyone was getting in. Everyone was getting suited and booted. And the only training that these people who weren't PADI certified had 5 minutes with some random dude telling them just how to use the equipment. like really brief, really, really quick. And they all got in the water, and I thought, it's not majorly deep, but if someone comes up too quick or freaks out or like faints underwater, I don't know what people do, but I remember this girl, like, I was in between dives and this girl came up and she's like, I panicked, I hate it down there, it's too claustrophobic. And she just swam from the bottom all the way to the top, like completely freaked out because she hasn't had that time. 4 days isn't even that long, but it's like 4 intensive, 6 till 6 a.m. to p.m. learning with professionals, practice, theory, everything, repeat, like repetition. She got 5 minutes. Like, she didn't get any of that. So I don't blame her for freaking out, but I do blame the people who are selling those courses. Well, it's not even a course. They're literally just briefing people. Yeah. And I'm not sure that the guy actually had a qualification. But another one is, I was in Belize, and I don't know if you guys know, but I think it's called the Big Blue Hole. It's like this famous sinkhole out in the ocean. It's massive and really deep, and it's full of bull sharks and stalagmites and stuff. It's like an ancient sinkhole. We wanted to dive that. And I'm not even that, I've only done a handful of dives since I qualified. So I'm not really qualified to do that yet. And I certainly wasn't in 2015. And we went and paid for a dive there. But we didn't pay for it. We signed up for it. I think if we had have paid for it, we probably would have lost our money. But anyway, we went and signed up for this dive, and then it was supposed to be for the next day. Then we went out around the town we were in. We got chatting to some locals, and they said, "Oh, where are you going to do your dive then? Who are you going with?" And we told them the company that we'd signed up with earlier on that day, and they were like, "No, they've just got a PADI flag outside. They're not actually PADI certified. They just tell people they are. Don't go with them. They've not got safe equipment. People have come back with like toxification. It's not good." Because when you go scuba diving, it's not just the elements that you've got to be worried about. If you're not going with a qualified PADI representative, you might not have oxygen in your tank. They might have filled it with something nasty. You never know. So just a couple of dodgy incidences I've come into contact with.
We've mentioned the worst parts. What was the best part about diving and the courses?
Just feeling so free. Like, I really loved my little group that I dived with. They were all really, really lovely, and we got on really well. And I felt like bonded to them because we'd gone through this thing together. That's, it's not normal to scuba dive. It's not a natural human thing, is it? So to do something, I suppose, that is quite dangerous together, that was really nice. But I just absolutely loved conquering a fear. Like, I was so scared, and then I wasn't anymore because I pulled the Band-Aid off really quickly. I just did it rather than like and ahhing and dipping my toes in the water, pun intended. I just went for it, and I've been rewarded ever since because it's just getting rid of such a fear like that. It can hold you back so much, and then just being free of it, it is just really liberating.
Do you have any plans to go diving in the future?
Yeah, well, I don't know if our listeners know about this, but we were supposed to be in Borneo. But we cancelled because of coronavirus, because we didn't feel it was safe to go to the other side of the world. But I had big plans to go scuba diving in Borneo because it's some of the best dive sites in the world. But I'm not going to be able to do that for probably another year now. But I want to scuba dive in more places. Steph, who's featured on this podcast before, she's got a diving qualification too. So we really want to just do a little week diving holiday somewhere. And I feel like maybe Greece would be a nice place to do it because it's not too far away and it's not going to break the bank. I mean, I would love to go back over to Asia and do some scuba diving, but it costs like £600 to £800 return flight. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to scuba dive in Costa Rica. I've heard really good things about that. I mean, I've done lots of snorkeling in like Honduras and, beautiful waters. I've snorkeled off the second biggest barrier reef in the world, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and saw some amazing, amazing animals. But I wasn't scuba diving, and I always feel more comfortable scuba diving because like I can see everything. When I'm snorkeling, I feel like I'm just face down and I can't see. And I'm not very good at diving down because I just kind of float back up. I think Asia it's got such a place in my heart. I think about it daily, and I would just absolutely love to explore more of Asian waters. I'd love to dive Indonesia. I think Indonesia is possibly the best place to dive in the world. And the Galapagos, and I'd love to dive with hammerheads. That'll be ace.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, thank you for sharing your stories with us, Laura, and we'll look forward to listening to some more travel tales as well in the near future.
Yeah, make sure to comment, guys, if there's anything you want to hear, because between us, we've done some travelling and we've been to some really cool places and we've seen some really cool wildlife. So just feel free to ask us questions, comment in the box below what you want to hear next, and we'll try to deliver that for you because we've got loads of stories to tell. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll speak to you in the next podcast.